Hi, this is Paul from globaltradingsoftware.com, and this is a gold trading tutorial. So whether you're trading futures or gold CFDs, that sort of thing, this particular strategy using the XBRAD algo for signal, the manager to manage the trade, and also the bias depth heat map to give us that confirmation after the signal. These three indicators combined represent a really good trading strategy. I mean, to be honest, for any futures contracts, or whether it be oil, whether it be gold, indexes, that sort of thing. But I just wanted to choose gold. I haven't used gold for a while, and I haven't used the Motivewave platform for a while as well. So I thought I'd kill two birds with one stone here. And this is gold in a 24-hour period. So it's the 3-minute time frame. So we're scalping, and with scalping we need to be aggressive, reasonably aggressive with entries, but aggressive with those trailing stops, and where we take those profits. So we have a European on the left here. We have a European morning short. We have a US morning long, and then a US afternoon short. But how do what do the signals mean? Where's the entries? Confirmation of those signals, which will help entries, and then obviously trade management. But one thing I really want to look at first is support and resistance zones. We really need to understand, is there a sticky zone that maybe we should be aware of during that trading day that may help us with that entry strategy, because it could be sticky. And there's always a sticky point. There's always a price or a zone of price that's going to be in there. So we're going to look at that first. One of the things that we do look at is we look left. So we're coming into this European morning here, and we can see overnight we've had some support. Okay, so this is important. This tool's really cool on Motivewave. So we just drag and drop it here. So what I'm looking at really is this type of support and resistance zone here. Okay, so we're bringing in all of this overnight support there. We maybe just want to take it up a little bit to cover this pivot here, and then these pivots here, and then look further left. Does that transcribe to a really strong support and resistance zone? Absolutely, yes. If we take that left here, we can see actually on previous days this has really been a sticky point, as we call it. Very strong. We can see at this point here, this point here, here. So this is a really strong zone, and we need to be aware of this. It needs to be on our chart, okay, as we're coming into this morning. So let's now look through this first trade. So we get a 5 and a 6-star XBRAD sell signal. This is good. This is 6-star is the highest. It's like a 6-star hotel, so it's the highest probability. But moreover, we've got the 5 and then the 6-star, so we've got momentum forming. Now we have got all 6 time frames on the bias depth heat map underneath here, all red. So there's strong bearish sentiment on higher time frames, higher than this 3 minutes. So this is good, but we need to be considerate of this support zone. So in theory, what we would look at normally is an entry just below this 6-star signal candle, but we don't want to short into support. So we need to be a little bit more conservative with this entry. So for me, this is the way I would play it. I would look for an entry breaking the support and be very tight on the stop, because remembering we're looking for very tight stops. We're scalping, okay. So what I want to do is really look for a stop just above that support zone, and maybe these pivots here, okay. Initially, that's where my stop would be, there or thereabouts. Okay, so this is sensible. We know we've got the signal, we've got the confirmation from the bias depth heat map, The ribbon on the manager is already red going into this support zone. So everything's pointing to bearish. We just want to be sensible here. So we're going to get this entry at 1832.3. The stop initially is going to be just above this pivot. But then when we get this big move down, and then we get what we call lower than average volume. You see these blue dots underneath here? This pullback against that bearish move is lower than average volume. So it's really going to run out of juice. So then we're more confident to bring the stop just above that support and resistance zone. Then we get this next pivot. It starts to move down again. At this point, we can come risk-free, so we can go the stop just above the pivot here. Now, we then follow the manager. The manager ribbon goes green at this point. This is 4 candles behind, so it's actually at this point here when the ribbon turns green. So this would be our exit. And let's just put that in there, just so we can see how many ticks that scalp is. So our exit's around about there. Whoops. Bring that down. So around about 28. And we entered here at 32. So that's 40 ticks. 40 ticks scalp is very, very good on gold. That's during that European morning. Again, go back and watch what I talked about the signal, the confirmation, and the entry. The entry was actually, it's skewed a little bit purely because of that support and resistance zones, but we have to take that in consideration. So we've used the manager to manage this. We didn't panic when it pulled back against the downward trend. We waited for the pivot to perform, and then it came back down again. These blue dots underneath mean lower than average volume. We made it risk-free. We are now just waiting for that ribbon to turn, and then we take the 40 ticks profit. Now we're going into the US morning, and we have a long signal. That long signal is actually in that support and resistance zone. So we can have our aggressive entry. This is the signal candle, the grey candle here. So our entry now is 35.10, just above this signal candle here. The stop will be initially, I would say, just below this pivot, this doji candle below here. Okay. We look down at the bias depth heat map. We are not all green yet, so we haven't got that confirmation. We get confirmation actually on this candle here. Okay, this bigger candle. So again, those that wait this is our entry here. So we've got signal, but we haven't got the confirmation yet. The confirmation is a couple of candles later when we've got all of our 6 time frames, higher time frames, in the green. So this is our sensible entry at 1836.3. Stop here. Then we start to push up. We pull back a little bit. We then push back up again. We pull back a little bit. The ribbon's still green, still remains green. At this point here, once we breach this pivot where it pulled down, we can then bring our stop underneath this pivot here. We're locking in a few ticks there. We're risk-free. Okay, that's the main thing. We then have a massive move up here. We're talking to 48, and we entered this at 36. That's 120 ticks. To be honest, most traders that are scalping will actually get to 100 ticks. For me personally, and I'm not here to give advice, if I got 100 ticks on a scalp, I would take the profit. That's $1,000 on gold futures. It actually went 120 ticks, so this was a big move. If you're waiting for the manager, because we get this lower than average pullback, then it's going sideways, the ribbon turns red at this point, so it's this candle here. So let me just put that there at 43.7. So still we're talking 70 ticks. Okay, so waiting for the manager. Sensibly, it could have turned back up again, or if you got that 100 tick target. But you know, being conservative, we've got that 70 ticks there. We've got 40 ticks earlier. We're actually at 110 ticks so far for the day. And then what we're looking for then in the afternoon, price action turns around, we get a 6-star sell signal, but we don't short into support. Our entry has got to be below the support zone. Our stop, again, once we push through above this pivot initially, and then once we start pushing down, we can adjust that stop to above the support and resistance zone. Again, then we're using the manager. Remember, look at the confirmation from the bias depth heat map. We're getting it coming through that support zone here. All 6 are red. We're good. We're good to go. Pulls back up a little bit here and then down. That's the point where we go risk-free above that pivot. This has happened 3 times. It happens a lot. So you follow the same rules and you'll be fine. So we'll get that down, it comes down, and then the ribbon turns green at this point. Count 4 candles back, we're here. So let's just move that to there, to that point there, and we are at 126.4. The entry was 32.3, so we're 60 ticks. So 170 ticks in 24 hours on gold using the XBRAT algo and the manager and the bias depth heat map. Remember, XBRAT manager is the signal. The heat map is the confirmation, and then the manager manages the trade. In this case, it's simple. We get that move, 3 moves in 24 hours, 100% profit, but we are very sensible with this support and resistance zone because this really frames that chart for us to understand where we're going to be looking for those entries and sometimes where we would look to take profits depending on where we are. So if you check out the links below, I'm going to put the link into the Cradle to Grave bundle, which is the XBRAT algo and the manager together. That bundle together, you actually discounted 21% on those 2 indicators. And then I'll put separately the link for the bias depth heat map. But using all these 3 together, it's a fantastic scalping strategy, day trading strategy for futures forex. You know, really strong. Even if you're trading CFDs, it works the same way. As long as you've got price action and volume, this will work extremely well. Hopefully that helps. Speak to you all really soon.